Hi everyone, good morning. I know it's a bank holiday, but today is Monday. So we would like to have our session, Monday session, as always, half an hour of a little bit of tips and training about SEO. This morning, I would like to talk about something that I've noticed over time that very frequently not used as good as should be. Most of the clients' projects that I follow, they have quite a unorganized structure in the beginning regarding the so-called taxonomy, which is for a WordPress site the division in categories and tags. Why are they so important? First of all, users love to have a neat structure to find things in a website, and Google likes it too, because we are really not playing hide and seek with Google or with our users. We do want them to find what we have in our website in the fastest way possible. You can imagine, for example, when you're doing Legos, and if you had all of them in one big bag, it would be really complicated. Instead, now you have all those small bags, and all the things are divided, neatly divided. And more you do this kind of division with a very big pinch of salt, the more you will get in terms of user experience and as a consequence of ranking possibilities. So we are talking about categories and tags. So how we can get them to benefit your SEO? What should be remembered is that there is a neat and a clear difference between the use of the two of them, and this is something that very often I see is being a little bit confused. Why do we need categories and tags, and which is the difference between the use of each of them? Categories basically are the main folder or subfolders in which some topics, some posts fold into. We should aim to have a neatly organized site structure which doesn't have more than 8, I'd say not more than 10 categories. You might have subcategories, but you always need to remember that your categories are basically your landing pages, and they are the most important pages that you should have, because they are the ones which are evergreen. Posts might expire. If you have, for example, a job listing website, then your jobs might expire, but the category of the roles, for example, of those jobs is never going to expire. Or you might have, for example, a website which has products, and those products might be out of stock or might not be available anymore, but the categories, those will remain forever. So those are the ones you should really be optimizing, and we will see how we have to do it. Also, the categories help you because they help you avoiding the internal competition. For example, if you have a website which is selling tennis shoes, if you optimize all of those pairs of shoes for the keyword, the same keyword, they might just be in internal competition one with each other. So you should have the category which is optimized for tennis shoes, but each of the articles, each of the products should be optimized for the specific brand model type and so on. So that will be ranking for this specific keyword, and your category will be ranking for the macro folder of that. Also, what you should remember is that if people find the category, which is the main container of all your posts regarding that, they will see how much you've written about something. So they might see everything you wrote about some particular topic. This is one of the things in which people sometimes make a little bit of confusion between the categories and the tags. The tags instead, they are something which goes vertically throughout all the categories. For example, there might be some overarching, some common fil rouge between the different posts which belong to different categories. If I make an example of my own website, for example, I have all those SEO tutorials and free guides. And I have, for example, one session which is about Google Analytics, which is one of the people more like that we need to work a little bit more on Google Analytics. And Google Analytics tells you that. So you should always know what people like and what people need. And so I think we will have to talk about this more, because I see that it's really one pain point of people. So what I see is that very often the tags can help me to get all different categories and articles together for one common point. For example, some of my posts about Google Analytics, they have they are about the page speed, and articles about page speed are not all in the Google Analytics. Some of them are in the SEO basics, because some of them might just be me explaining some of the SEO basic concepts. So they can't fit into the category of Google Analytics because they are not about Google Analytics. They do not belong to that category. But they have one thing in common, which is the page speed. So page speed is my tag. And if people want to read everything which regards to page speed, if they check this tag, they will open the archive and they will see all the things which have been written about the page speed. Now, you need to know one thing, and this is something that most people apparently do not know, because this is really one of the most frequent errors which they see when I work with clients, projects. And this is that every time you add one tag to one post, you create WordPress. If this has not been used before, WordPress creates one page. It creates one archive page. Now, what I see that happens when people do not know about this, it is that people just start adding tons of tags in their articles very liberally. And when we have so many tags in the articles, those tags are, and if we just have like one post that belongs to that tag, we have plenty of duplicated content. Now, you need to remember that duplicated content is something that's really a damage to your SEO, and you should try to avoid it as much as you can. So you should really try and keep your tags limited. And this is very, very important. you should have to optimize each and every one of them, adding a bit of copy to each of them. When you open your WordPress in your backend, just below the posts, you will see two buttons. One is categories and one is tags. If you click on them, you will see a list of the categories and the tags that you have been using so far. And you can see the count number of how many times they have been used, how many posts are in each category, and how many posts have that tag. You should definitely try to have a neatly organized structure so that you use as less as possible of tags and categories. Also, because you need to know that you will actually have to type some copy inside of each of those. Do not leave them empty. Give some information, which is what is that about. For example, when I have my tag about the page speed, I actually write in the tag in my WordPress backend what is the page speed. So some specific, individual, unique content which makes that tag archive unique. And the same you should do with your categories. So you understand that if you create at every blog post you do, if you create 10 tags over a small number of months, when the site gets bigger, the structure becomes absurd. I've really seen websites which had hundreds of categories and tags, and they are all duplicated content. This is really something that can get you penalized. So you should try and keep them easy and simple, and not too many, just a few of them, very selected, and for each of them you need to write down what they are inside. How do you choose which are the best? First of all, avoiding duplicated. You should know that if, for example, you can't have a duplicated tag or category sometimes with the singular and the plural. For example, if you have tennis shoes or tennis shoe, that's going to be two different tags or categories, two duplicated, which are basically about the same thing. So you just pick one, might it be singular or plural, and stick with that. You don't make a double version for the singular or the plural. And you should choose them not just randomly, but you should get some help. If you're working with me or with anybody else, you should actually try and choose or have somebody suggesting you which are the best keywords you can use so that you decide to use your tags and your categories with some kind of SEO perspective. When you think of what can be in a tag for an article, it can't just be something that you would like to rank for. It needs to be something that that post is about. So if my post is about page speed, I can't be using, I shouldn't be using as a tag something which I want to rank for, but that doesn't belong to the article. If the article is about something, you should be able to summarize in one word, 2 words, 3, not more, because I really suggest you not to use too many tags on an article. What that is about, so that if people want to read everything that has been written, which has these things in common, they can check it, they can see the archives, and they can see everything you've been writing about that. And that will help you rank, because if it's not duplicated content, if you've been adding things, and if you have the Yoast, the free Yoast plugin for WordPress, you can see the always present green, yellow, red lights also in tags and in categories for the readability and for the keyword present in that tag or category. And then I really suggest you to try and get your green lights. As I always say, you don't have to aim for perfection unless you're a perfectionist, unless you have a lot of time at disposal, but we are always chronically time deprived. So if you can at least have your general green light in the readability or in the keyword section, you can consider it sufficient. You can be happy with that, even if not each of the single little dots is green. If the overall dot of the readability or of the SEO keyword is green, you can be happy with that, unless you really can have the best for that. What you should check also, and if you have yours that will be shown to you, is that the number of words you're using. I know I always keep saying you need to write more, but basically, don't hate me, but that's it, you need to write more. No, the problem is that we can't just get short quantity, short text, because that's not helpful enough, that's not descriptive enough. So, and you will have to add also a meta description and a title in your tag or in your category, because there might be somebody looking for that, or they might be ranking. And if they rank, people can see on Google page speed tag archive might be my title, for example. And my meta description could be all my articles, free tutorials and guides about page speed. Discover why it is important for your user and for the SEO. Now I'm just making up some copy, but that it would be my meta description, because I might actually rank, and I've been able to rank some of my tags and some of my clients' tags and categories. And if they rank, we want people to find a nice result, a nice snippet of result, which is actually interesting and cool, and they want to click on it, because you know your CTR, your click-through rate, is very important. We really want to be engaging people, and they want to click on it, and they want to get to read everything we've been writing about that. So the title, I'm not talking about clickbait titles, because that's something that over time has always more and more creating issues to people, and they get penalized by the simple bounce rate, because people click on the link expecting to find the solution of all the problems of the world, and then they find inside that the article was about fish, and they a little bit disappointed and they close it. Instead, we should write what the article is about in a real, honest way, but also a nice, creative, interesting, fun way. You need to remember always that you are talking to real people like you and me. We always browse the net, and we know which kind of titles and meta description are just so boring or so artificial, keyword stuff, so unnatural, or oh, that's cool, that's something I want to read. Then you click on it, and sometimes it takes a matter of 2 seconds or less decision for you to read it. We don't really read, we just scan. So this is one of the reasons why I suggest you always to use the subheaders, also in your archives, also in your tags and categories. Why not? Because you will see WordPress, Yoast, SEO telling you that you have not used enough characters, you should write more. I think it's happy if you're writing like 150 words or similar like that. So if you write those big bulks of copy, people are daunted because they just don't want to read that boring stuff. Instead, if you split this bulk of text of copy into some parts with headers and subheaders, please try and use your keywords in your headers and subheaders in a very natural way, but do think of this, because we always need to make happy people and search engine. Generally, if you make people happy, that's the best content strategy. But we should think of using keywords in our titles, headers, and subheaders, because, for example, we might be making an article about having fun on the water, but then that was, for example, a review about a holiday in France. And people can't find it if we don't write that's about an holiday in France, and if we just write having fun on the water. So we need to think of making something which is cool and nice, but also using our keywords and not just misusing keywords which we want to rank for, but really the things which are in those articles. Because if you want to rank with your profession, with your brand industry, and use that as a keyword, but the article is about something else, there is no connection. If the article is about something which has some specific relevance to a topic, you need to use that topic as a keyword, and to consider which other articles is it similar to. You will think about this when you think of a common fil rouge between the articles, to try and create internal links between the articles. You know, it's very important to have links which are, because those are the streets the crawlers go on. And if there are external links, they're like token of authority they give to our website. But also internal links are very important because they help people to see the different pages. So when you think of what is my article about, which other articles did I write which might have a relevance to this, those articles may all have the same tag in common. Because if they have something in common, what do they have in common might be the tag. So if you think, if you need to decide which is the tag I should be using, you can check the tags that you have been using at. In most cases, I just suggest you delete them all and restart thinking fresh of it. That's what I see. That's the best thing to do in most situations, because very often people do not decide a taxonomy category and tag for some good SEO reason. They just decide it like this. Instead, when you understand, and I hope this video helped you understand, I would really like to see what your feedback is. If you now understand the real SEO reason for tags and art and categories, you might have at least the tags to rethink them all. So you just delete them and you try and think of your articles. Which do they have? Which common points do they have in common? Which articles are connected one with each other on a logical way? And what is in common might be your tag. So you create a tag of it, you add that tag to those posts, and you make sure that tag is fully optimized with a nice descriptive text, a title, and a meta description, which are nice to be read. People might actually have interest, and you could think, for example, if you have a little bit of keyword use some values, which might be the best ones to choose. And if you consider that one of your articles they can't all have different tags. They can't all have different categories. They might really be containers which help people find stuff inside. If you think of your user as if he was, she was running down the aisle of a supermarket, they want to find your articles as if they were products in some very organized way. They just don't have all the time for running around the place and trying to find where did you put that thing. I mean, using a search box will always be helpful, because if people can't find stuff, or if they don't want to look for it, they just type it, something they want to read on your search box. But they might be found on Google organically, also the categories and tags. And if you optimize them, this will happen. And think of categories as the first thing that should appear on your search results, your real landing page. Make sure that they are basically more important than your posts. Make sure that they can provide a very nice user experience, and so that even if the posts inside expire, those will remain evergreen. So this also means every now and then to check the structure of your site, not to give it for granted. Because if we go on and we keep piling and piling stuff, but we do not check if the site structure is good enough, we might end up with an immense chaos. Instead, we should always keep it very neat and tidy, and checking the categories if they are still updated, if they contain any words which we do not want to use anymore, if they contain anything that's not up to date, they give a bad and unprofessional impression of us, and they might result in a bounce off the site instead of willing to read more. Because when people read about you, they must feel like they want to read more, not that they want to read less, not that they feel scared, and but that they want to get deeper to know about what you know and what you can tell and what are the tips you can give. So if there are any doubts, any questions you would like to ask, you can do it now. I haven't been checking the comments. Oh, I mean, what should tags be limited to? So, well, it depends on really on the type of projects that we are doing, because in the case that you were mentioning, that is a very specific case, because that is your project, your loving West London project. Stay tuned, because she's creating something which is wonderful, and all of us belong to the West London part and have businesses should really be proud to be part of it. In that case, we will be using them in a bit of particular way, because we will be using them for finding and match horizontal and vertical through categories and tags to find a specific business in a specific place. So businesses and businesses can be the category, and the location can be the tag. But in different kind of art. Hey, you like it? Yeah, I can't stop endorsing it, because it's really something that we should all be part of, because it's basically our community, so we should always be part of this community. But in websites which have a more common and more general kind of structure, we should have as a tag really what the article is about. So that is a particular kind of example of using the tags and category in a particular way. Instead, in a very general way, our category can be what that the article is about. So if we are writing about tips about something, we could ask ourselves, which is one word I could use to summarize it all? Is there one word which can summarize what the article is about? And that could be our tag. So I hope this is all clear. Even if we run out of time, don't worry. If you have any questions, just pop them, or after watching the video again, try and let me know if there is any kind of question, anything you would like to know about your categories and tags. And now your homework, if you want to have a homework, you can now open your WordPress, go under posts and see all the categories and tags you've been using. I am sure, because I know most of you, but in general, because I have nearly 10 years of experience in doing this, you will have empty, empty text, no description, and most of them they're just being because in that moment you felt like using it. Now try and think of an SEO reason and a reason which makes the structure neater. So categories, if you have too many, you should rethink a little bit of it. In some cases, pay attention when you change categories, especially because they might be in your URL if your permalink structure has that category in the URL. In that case, if you change them, make sure you do not just change them, breaking links and having a load of pages not found, because that would be much worse than having wrong categories. So make sure you have a plugin for redirection, which might be redirect or redirection. Just the name of it is the name of the plugin. And make sure that every time you change the URL, it doesn't create a broken link, but it gets automatically redirected. So people won't be losing the road and the street and crawlers, not even. So, but if you have a way for create this kind of plugin for creating a redirection, then think of having a few categories which can contain all of your posts and find the fil rouge which can connect different posts in the different categories. And I think that's all. Now we can all enjoy our back holiday, and just let me know if you have any questions. Thank you. Bye-bye.